Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada ki jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishoras Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchid Ananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Patadash Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki jai. Muna Devi Ganga Devi Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai, Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai, Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol, everybody. Sorry for being 10 minutes late today. My God. So today, Dandavat Pranams Indira Maharaj, Sajan Maharaj, and Indira Mataji, Gargaraj Ji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, and Madhavi Didi. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. So today I'm going to read about Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja from Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja's book, My Beloved Masters. Today is Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja's appearance day. And if we finish before it's time, like before the time's over, then maybe we can also read an article by Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Let's see how long this takes. So, okay, so Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let's see, there's pictures on this website here. That's Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let me zoom in. See? And there's more pictures. Let me see. One second. Here's another picture. Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. All right. So this is from Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja's My Beloved Masters. Full surrender means leaving nothing behind. Prior to joining the Math full-time, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja, then known as Shri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay, worked for the Indian Railways, which provided him with a stable residence. Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada once visited and stayed there for 3 days in 1921. As a result of his divine association during that 3-day visit, Shri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay decided to dedicate his life to serving the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Following the principle of the verse Gurum Eva Bhikachet from Mundaka Upanishad 1-12, he understood that upon approaching Sri Guru, one ought to surrender oneself completely without returning home for anything. Therefore, he packed all his household items, his table, chair, beru, bur, what, I don't even know what that word is. Beru, buru. Let me look that up, sorry. Hey, how come it's not giving a dictionary? Oh, there. Oh, it's a writing desk with drawers. Okay. Biru. Biru. Okay, so he packed up his table, chair, writing desk, and so on. He packed it all up on a truck and brought them to the mott. He did not leave anything behind, so as to ensure he would never have to revisit his house to settle pending matters. The dear associate of Shriman Mahaprabhu. I'm just checking the comments. Haribol Sudevi Didi and Ganga Mataji and Raseshwari Mataji. Sorry. Okay. The dear associate of Shriman Mahaprabhu. Shri Atula Chandra Bandhopadhyay and Shri Srimad Bhakti Prakash Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja visited many homes and offices to collect donations and find new subscribers for the Gaudiya Math's weekly magazine titled Gaudiya. In those days, Gaudiya was publishing Srimad Bhagavatam in installments, often including pictures of Śrīla Prabhupada, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and other Vaishnavacharyas. One day, a person asked Srila Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be non-different from Bhagavan. Why then have you included pictures of mortal humans on some of its pages? For whatever reason, Srila Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja kept silent, and so Sri Atula Chandra Bandhopadhyay gave an eloquent yet assertive reply. You have fully understood the special divine characteristics of Grantha Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhakta Bhagavat, the devotee of Bhagavan. Did I say you fully understood? You have not fully understood the special divine characteristics of the Grantha Bhagavat and Bhakta Bhagavat, nor have you learned the purports of the many essential verses that describe the nature of devotees, such as Shakshadharitvena samasta shastrer uktastata bhavyata eva sarvi kintu prabhorya priya evatasya vande guroshi charanarabindam. That's 7th verse of Guru Vashtakam. The scriptures unanimously proclaim Shri Guru to be Shakshat Hari, directly Shri Hari. This is a fact jointly corroborated by all saintly persons. Yet at the same time, Shri Guru is very dear to Bhagavan. I adore the lotus feet of that Shri Gurudev. So how then will it be possible for you to comprehend that the photographs published in Gaudiya are not of ordinary persons, but of very special, self-realized personalities? Moreover, it will be difficult for you to understand that, because of their eternal relationship with Bhagavan, these liberated persons are non-different from him in the same way that Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from him. The Bhakta Bhagavat is non-different from Bhagavan, as well as the Grantha Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, is non-different from Bhagavan. He ended the discussion by remarking, I am from a Brahmin family so high that 14 generations of your family would consider themselves grateful if but one of them happened to drink water from a place where I had passed urine. Oh my God. But for some reason, you are questioning the master at whose feet I have offered my head, as well as the magazine I have come to distribute. In the evening, Srila Aranya Gosvāmī Mahārāja recounted the story to Srila Prabhupada. He told Srila Prabhupada that although he was unable to answer the man's question, Shri Atula Chandra Bandhopadhyay, who was relatively new to the math, gave an apt reply. Upon hearing this, tears flowed from Srila Prabhupada's eyes. He said, Srimad Mahaprabhu has sent one of his close associates to assist us. We have heard that Srimad Mahaprabhu and his associates appeared before Srila Prabhupada and assured him that they would provide both the means and the manpower required to spread Śrīla Bhakti among the masses. In the above-mentioned pastime, Srila Prabhupada confirmed that Mahaprabhu himself had sent his dear associate Shri Srimad Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Causing others' faith in the real thing is the best type of collection. Haribo Ladini Shakti Didi. Okay. Whenever he collected donations, Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay always dressed in formal attire, consisting of a coat and pants. One day he visited the house of a Shetaji, a wealthy person. He rang the doorbell, and the owner personally answered the door. When Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay introduced himself as a member of the Gaudiya Math, the Shetaji replied by saying, "I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math." Ignoring the man's words, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu brushed past him and entered the house. The Shetaji became irritated. "Did you not hear me?" he asked. "I said I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math." Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu took a seat in the nearby chair, saying nothing in reply. The Shetaji, now irritated, repeated, "I said I have no faith in the Gaudiya Math." This time, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu responded, Yes, I heard you. This is exactly why I have come to your house, to generate your faith in the Gaudiya Math. Even before I came, I knew that you had no faith in the Gaudiya Math, for if you had, you could not have resisted you could have not resisted visiting. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu then expertly explains the aim of the Gaudiya Math's mission and its unique specialities. Being highly influenced by Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu's scholarly presentation, the Shetaji gratefully offered him a large donation. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu refused the donation. "I have not come for a donation," he said. "Believe me when I say I have only come to generate your faith in the Gaudiya Math." With great respect, the Shetaji personally drove Sri Atula Chandra back to the Gaudiya Math, where he received darshan of Śrīla Prabhupada and offered the donation to him directly. Thereafter, he visited the Gaudiya Math regularly. One second, just seeing. Okay. Delivering an offender. Once, Śrīla Prabhupada took Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay and an entourage to preach in Kanpur. While Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu went to the city for a short time to collect donations, the local district magistrate came to visit Śrīla Prabhupada. During their conversation, the magistrate made a derogatory comment to Śrīla Prabhupada. He said, "Most of your followers seem highly educated. Is it your mission to turn educated people into mendicants?" With this, the magistrate got up and abruptly left. Later, when Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu returned to see Śrīla Prabhupada informed him of his encounter with the magistrate. As Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu listened to Śrīla Prabhupada, he noticed that the magistrate's criticism had made Śrīla Prabhupada unhappy. He immediately hailed a horse cart and went to the magistrate's house. When he arrived, he told him, "Śrīla Prabhupada is an extraordinary personality. He is a personal associate of Bhagavan. Your disrespectful comment has ensured your total ruin. You have played with fire, and now 14 generations of your family will have to suffer in hell." The district magistrate became frightened. He humbly asked Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu what he must do to make amends. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu instructed him to beg Śrīla Prabhupada for forgiveness and serve him somehow. The magistrate and Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu at once returned to the Math, where Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu implored Śrīla Prabhupada, please be kind to this man and absolve him of his offense to your lotus feet." Śrīla Prabhupada then spoke to the magistrate on many topics, and the magistrate served him by offering a donation of 500 rupees. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu accepted a huge responsibility when he resolved to save the district magistrate from committing a serious offense. This anecdote demonstrates many of Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja's transcendental qualities. He had firm conviction in the lotus feet of Śrīla Prabhupada. He could recognize the awful fate in store for those who offended Śrīla Prabhupada, and he mercifully strived to find a way for them to atone for their offenses. By this, he delivered many offenders and, like a true well-wisher, did whatever he could to cultivate auspiciousness on their behalf. Defending Śrīla Prabhupada and his followers. While Srila Prabhupada was heading to perform Sri Vrajmandal Parikrama with his associates one year, Sri Halagulala, the head of the managing committee of the Sri Banke Bihari temple, issued a statement to almost all of the prominent temples in Vrindavan, notifying them that Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would soon arrive with all his followers. They are all Harijans, he said. What does Harijan mean? A Harijan literally means people of Hari, but Mahatma Gandhi used this term to describe members of the various labor communities, washermen, drain cleaners, street sweepers, leather workers, etc., who are generally considered untouchable outcasts. Okay, so these are all Harijans. In other words, these are all outcasts, street sweepers, he said. He and his followers are not to be allowed entrance into our temples. When Sri Atulachandra Bandhopadhyaya came to hear of this, he took a group of his Brahman-born godbrothers, including Sri Śrīmad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosvāmī Mahārāja, my Guru Maharaj, then Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari, Sri Narothamananda Brahmachari, later Sri Śrīmad Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, Sri Pranavananda Brahmachari, later Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and others to meet with the Gosai, or head priest of the Radha Madan Mohan temple. In conversing with the respected Gosai, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu asked him, "Do we, who have taken birth in Brahman families, seem like fallen deviants to you? Have we not conducted ourselves according to the words of scriptures when we resolved to follow the path of pure Vaishnav Dharma?" Srila Prabhupada has propagated the principles of Daiva Varnashram Dharma, the social designation of individuals according not to race or familial lineage, but innate propensities. To maintain a mundane conception of Srila Prabhupada will bring only ill fortune to the world. Moreover, may I remind you that I am Atula Chandra Bandhopadhyaya. When the Brahmanas of your family approached our family seeking the hand of my daughter in marriage, I forbade it. I told them, "We are Kulin Brahmans. How could we possibly consider allowing our daughter to marry into your family when we despise even the idea of dining in close proximity to you?" The Gosai begged for forgiveness and accompanied Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu to see Srila Prabhupada. He then brought Srila Prabhupada and the Parikrama party for darshan of Sri Radha Madan Mohanji and conferred great respect unto Srila Prabhupada. Observing the conduct of the Sri Madan Mohanji temple, Gosai, the head priests of all the other prominent temples of Vrindavan also accorded befitting honor and respect to Srila Prabhupada. It was only the Gosai of the Sri Banke Bihari temple who maintained some objection to allowing Srila Prabhupada's disciple to enter his temple, saying that Sri Bihariji would be frightened by the tridandas the sannyasis carried. When Srila Prabhupada heard of this, he said, "Fine, if this is the case, we shall not enter Sri Banke Bihari temple. We do not wish to frighten Thakurji." Collecting from a materialist. Once Sri Atula Chandra Bandhopadhyaya took his godbrother Sri Śrīmad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj to visit a miserly businessman in Madras, now Chennai, who spoke only Tamil, of which the two godbrothers knew not one word. Before their visit, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu told Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, "I will communicate with him through hand gestures only. All you must do is advance toward him with your tridanda and back off when I tell you." "And why exactly am I supposed to run back and forth with my tridanda?" Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj asked. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu replied, "He will either think that I am depriving him of a blessing from Sri Narayan, who is embodied by your tridanda, or that I am protecting him from you turning him to ashes with it." When Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj advanced toward the businessman with his tridanda during their meeting, Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu stopped him and held up his 10 fingers, pointing to the businessman. The businessman, in return, held up 1 finger. Again, Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja advanced toward the businessman until Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu stopped him. This time, Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu held up 9 fingers, and the businessman held up 2. They went on like this until eventually they both held up 5 fingers. As soon as Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu stood up as if ready to leave, the merchant made a gesture signaling him to stay, and then went inside his house. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu, "What does this mean, holding up 5 fingers?" Maharaj, I have no idea. Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu answered. It could be 5 rupees, 50 rupees, 500, or something else. Whatever it is, let us wait and see. The merchant then brought 500 rupees from inside and put it in Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's hand. He then begged him to bless him on the forehead with his tridanda, and Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja obliged. As they were leaving, Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu kicked the ground at the doorway. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked why he did that, he said, "I do not want to deal with this kind of person ever again. Otherwise, I fear I will become a covetous materialist, a Vishayi. I am kicking this man's association, kicking it with spite." Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would often say, Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu was like a radish farmer whose crop is completely uprooted during harvesting. He would approach a person once, receive what he could, and never return. Others, however, were like eggplant farmers whose crop continues to give even after harvesting. They would repeatedly go to the same person to acquire whatever they needed. Neither is intrinsically better than the other, they are simply different approaches. The best approach is always that which is most favorable for the service of Sri Hari according to time, place, and circumstance. A queen's donation. Once Shri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay stayed in a temple in Orissa. At that time, the temple services were being funded by an elderly queen who is popularly known as Rani Mata. One day, Rani Mata sent her servants to inquire whether Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu's stay there was comfortable enough, and whether he was experiencing any inconvenience. Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu replied that everything was fine, except that he was having a hard time sleeping without a pillow. Rani Mata then graciously sent him a pillow and told him he could keep it. As soon as Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu received the pillow, he set off for Sridham Mayapur and took it with him. Upon his arrival at Sri Yogapit, he opened the pillow and found about 2,500 rupees inside. Traditionally, in Indian culture, it is men who offer donations to sadhus and not women. Shri Atula Chandra Prabhu was perceptive enough to understand that by sending her servants to check up on him, Rani Mata was looking for an opportunity to serve him in some way. His request for a pillow was actually meant as a chance for her to offer a donation in secret. Such were his wondrous ways of collecting donations. Posing as a lawyer for the service of the Gaudiya Math. At the bidding of the queen of the Sitapur district in Naimisharanya, a man resolved to donate land for the construction of a Gaudiya Math there. Sometime later, however, an Indian civil service ICS officer, a foreigner, complains that the queen ought to donate the lands to her subjects if she had so much. He questioned how the locals would benefit by giving land to outsiders from Bengal or anywhere else. Hearing about this, the donor retracted his pledge to give lands to the Gaudiya Math devotees. Sometime later, Shri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay overheard the devotees. He was discussing the matter. Wait. Sometime later, Sri Atula Chandra overheard the devotees he was with discussing the matter at the Sitapur train while waiting for a train to Kolkata. As fate would have it, their train was 3 hours late, and so he informs the devotees he would pay the man a visit. On the way, he purchased a notebook and tucked it under the arm of his coat to make himself appear as a professional. He approached the man who withdrew his pledge and said, he said, I am the Gaudiya Math's legal advisor, and I am here to sue you for defamation. When you promised land to them, they printed notices in many newsletters and magazines about the proposed math in Naimisharanya. But now that you have gone back on your word, their name will be tarnished. The man explained his position and showed Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu what the ICS officer had written. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu shouted at the man, "What does that fool know? We want this land not for the sake of taking, but for giving. We will develop this area by investing assets gathered from elsewhere. There is not a single person in your entire state who would come forward to develop this area like we would. And even if someone were to come forward, he would end up costing you much more than he would invest. Our investment in this community, on the other hand, would be greater, say 10 times greater than the value of the land you would give us. But never mind that. The main point is that you must make good on your promise. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to file a lawsuit against you." When the man finally agreed to donate the land to the Gaudiya Math, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu insisted he pay a 10,000 rupees fine for the inconvenience he caused. Ultimately, the man agreed to pay a fine of 5,000 rupees. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu collected the fine and returns to the train station in time to make his train. Whoa, all in 3 hours. His presence of mind. One second, let me just, okay. So his presence of mind. Before Srila Prabhupada sent Sri Atula Chandra Bandyopadhyay abroad to preach, he asked, I don't know how you say that name, Ernst George Schultz, a German disciple of his whose initiated name was Sarananda Das. So Srila Prabhupada asked Sarananda Das, "What title should I give Atula Chandra when I send him to preach in the West? I need to give him a title that properly conveys his superiority to all the preachers I have sent until now." Sri Sarananda Prabhu suggested the title Missionary in Charge, which Srila Prabhupada liked. He then gave this title to Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu and sent him to preach abroad. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu did not accept Isa from the Math for his overseas preaching. The donations he collected abroad. One day, the housekeeper where he was staying informed him, "A large envelope with your name on it has come, but it is too big to fit in the letterbox. It is hanging out. You best retrieve it now." When Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu opened the letter, he found that the king of Bardhaman had sent him a check in his name. Although he did not have an English bank account, he decided to go to the bank anyway. At the bank, the manager told him, "We cannot cash your check unless we get a signature from someone who can verify your identity." It just so happened that a photograph of Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu a photograph of Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu shaking hands with the, I don't know how you say this, Marquis of Zetland had been published in the newspaper that day. Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu saw a newspaper lying on the manager's desk, took it, and opened it to the page with his picture. He showed it to the manager and asked, "Who is the person in this photograph?" The manager read the title on the bottom of the photograph. "Indian monk, A.B. Gosvāmī and Marquis of Zetland," he said. "Am I not the very same person?" Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu questioned. The manager looked at the photo and back at him a few times. So, Sri Atula Chandra Prabhu prodded, "What do you say?" It is definitely you. Then you yourself can verify my identity and sign." The manager did just that. Such was Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's presence of mind. Maintaining faith in disheartening situations. After Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, the Saraswat Gaudiya mission faced a host of disturbances. During that time, a certain distinguished personality made the following comment about a particular disciple of Srila Prabhupada. "I do not trust him when he says, 'Ha,' yes, nor do I trust his brother when he sarcastically says, 'yes.' The mouths of the fathers of those who have faith in their ha's and who's will be full of these two brothers' stool. They are cheating us. We should teach them a lesson." Okay, I need to check that footnote because it did not make any sense to me. In other words, the two brothers' association is so harmful that it affects not only a person who associates with them, but that person's father as well. Just as good association delivers one's forefathers, bad association adversely affects them. Okay. So that's the comment that some distinguished personality made about a particular disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied, not ferociously, but peacefully, according to his tranquil nature. He said, "Bhagavan is all-knowing, and he always guides and protects his devotees. If, while being cheated by the Vaishnavas, we maintain faith in them nevertheless, even at the cost of detriment, that faith will be the genesis of our future happiness." Acquiring land in Mayapur. From the very beginning, Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja was entirely disinterested in procuring land and a building. He is completely disinterested in procuring land and building a math in Mayapur. He would repeatedly say, "Already in Sri Dham Mayapur are Srila Prabhupada's Sri Chaitanya Math and Sri Madhav Maharaja's Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. What then is the necessity for me to toil to build another place? I do, however, want my godbrothers to accrue as much land as possible, because otherwise undesirable people will create establishments there in the future and try to tarnish the sanctity of the Dham." He would also say, "I will provide my godbrothers with as much money as they need to purchase and develop land. But with this, they must accept the responsibility of properly maintaining their establishments." Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja possessed incredible foresight. Today, many undesirable factions have established themselves in Sri Dham Mayapur and engage in many activities opposed to the cultivation of bhakti. Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj was insistent that Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja establish a math in Sri Dham Mayapur. And so Srila Gosvāmī Mahārāja, yielding to the request of his godbrother, purchased a plot of lands there. On the day the foundation was to be consecrated by performing an auspicious cornerstone laying ceremony beneath the shade of a, I don't know how you say that, acacia tree there? Is it acacia? Acacia tree, I don't know. It's a tree with yellow or white flowers. So beneath the shade of that tree there, so Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja did not conduct the ceremony himself, but had Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja do it. He had Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja do the cornerstone laying ceremony. Our Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math provided the mridangas, kartals, and asanas for that ceremony. I consider myself supremely fortunate and blessed to have witnessed and heard the heartfelt kirtan sung by those who had taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, their exemplary and the profound Harikatha they took that day. Afterward, devotees distributed nothing more than a light, hollow sugar candy called batasa as prasad, so afterward, the devotees distributed nothing more than a light, hollow sugar candy called batasa as prasad. But no one was dissatisfied. Everyone was quite pleased. The simple end to the grand festival brought to mind a verse I had learned when I was a child. Aja yude rishi shradhe prabhate meghambura dampate kalahe chaiva babharambe lagu kriya. The sparring of rams. What? Okay. The sparring of rams, the service rendered by saints, the sound of thunder in the mornings, and the squabbles between a husband and wife are loud in the beginning and quiet in the end, accomplished ultimately by the smallest of gestures. Although I had always felt that this verse was not applicable in modern times, I realized it was most certainly relevant to Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's feast that day. An example of his humility. While Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja's mat in Sridham Mayapur was under construction, he stayed in Guru Maharaja's Bhajan Kutir in our Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat. He was highly punctual. He would come and go at exactly the same time every day. One day, for some reason, he arrived at our mat 5 minutes earlier than normal. Before entering Guru Maharaja's Bhajan Kutir, he asked us all in all earnestness, "Prabhus, today I have come 5 minutes early. May I come inside the mat, or should I atone for my unpunctuality by waiting outside?" Oh, one thing I forgot, when he met with Lord Zetland, there's that story. I think I remember seeing a picture here on the Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani website. Let me just find it. Yep, see, look. Here's Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja with Lord Zetland in London, 1934. That's the picture that was in the magazine that he showed that person. All right. Okay. Accept only that service which you can properly manage. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would host festivals in his mat, he would invite only 1 or 2 devotees from each mat. He would explain, "By his own conduct, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur has taught that, as etiquette dictates, we must invite only as many Vaishnavas as we are capable of serving at one time without losing a respectful attitude. If we invite too many devotees, we run the risk of making offenses due to our inability to attentively serve every one of them in a befitting manner." His deep respect for the Dham. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would walk from Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat to his mat, his servant Sri Gauradas Prabhu and I would support him from either side. One day, as we were leaving Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat, we saw Nilu, Sri Yogapit's generator room guard. And Neela was driving a new bicycle rickshaw, a vehicle that had only been recently introduced in Sridham Mayapur. Seeing this, Sri Gauradas Prabhu asked Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja, "Maharajji, would you like to go by rickshaw?" Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied gravely, "Me, on a rickshaw in the holy Dham? Never. This will never happen. I know well that you people will all ride cars in the future, but you will not get a license to do so from me." It is a fact that in his entire life, he never sat in a rickshaw or car in the Dham. When traveling to the Dham in a car or rickshaw, he would stop at the limits of the Dham and start walking. Wow. Sri Gauradas Prabhu said, "Maharaj, we are afraid that you might fall and injure yourself if you walk all the time." Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja joked, "Ah, that is your problem, not mine." Later, when he reached his mat, he loudly called to another of his dear servants, Shri Banabihari Baba. "Oh, Bana Baba, this Gaur has just about killed me today. He made me walk all the way here. I am so worn out." His relationships with his disciples were always sweet and humorous. Everything is justified in service. Once, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja and his servant Sri Gauradas Prabhu came to our Mayapur branch of the Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math to visit the Goshala, which I managed in those days. Śrīla Maharaj saw 2 healthy, happy calves there and asked me, "How old are these calves?" "Maharajji, they are about 1 year old," I replied. Without hesitating, he offered this advice: "If you turn them into oxen, you will be able to get a great amount of work out of them." What's the footnote here about? Oh, I think everybody here knows what an oxen are. And castrated bulls trained for the use as service animals. When Sri Gauradas Prabhu heard this, he said, "Maharaj, would you have dared to even suggest such a thing, let alone do it, had you been living with your family?" "No," Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied. "I would have been declared an outcast and removed from our society. But I am no longer a Brahman. I am a transcendental malecha, a divine outcast of sorts. If an activity befitting a malecha is performed with the intention of serving Sri Guru, Vaishnavas and Bhagavan, it is considered spiritual, not mundane. Everything is justified in service." Remembering Sri Krishna and his associates in all situations. One time, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja asked me, "What is your name?" "Narottam Das Brahmachari," I replied. When he heard this, he was reminded of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He said, "Your name is Narottam? Then you are my master, my Prabhu." In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 485, Srila Kaviraj Goswami has mentioned, "Jahan jahan netra pare, taha Krishna spure," which, when applied to this situation, means wherever a perfected personality casts his eyes, Krishna manifests to him. The word Krishna in this verse refers to Krishna accompanied by his associates. Therefore, when Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja heard that my name was Narottam, he immediately became immersed in remembering Sri Krishna's intimate associate, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. This is the speciality of Vaishnavas. Ordinary persons can never imagine, even in their dreams, the transcendental consciousness in which Vaishnavas remain situated. Honoring all prasad with equal reverence. When Srila Sāraṅga Goswami Maharaj sat to honor prasad, he would only do so after first mixing together all the preparations on his plate. Everything from karela, bitter melon, to sweet rice. The first time I saw him doing this, I was still new to the mat, and I therefore lacked an understanding of Vaishnava Siddhanta. I told him, "Maharaj, you will not be able to relish the original individual taste of all these preparations if you mix them all together." Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied, "Why should I indulge in the desires of this wicked and insignificant tongue of mine, which measures a mere 2.5 inches? Do you not recite this verse before accepting prasad? Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishvaso Naiva Jayate." It's from the Skanda Puran Utkal Khanda. Those who have very few pious activities to their credit can never develop faith in Mahaprasad, in Sri Govinda, in the holy name of the Lord, or in the Vaishnavas. And what has Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur written about Mahaprasad? Sharira avidya jal, jalendriya tahikal, jive phale vishaya sagare, tar madhe jiva ati, lobamoy sudurmati, take jita katina sangsare. O brothers, the material body is a web of ignorance, and its inert senses are the cause of its ruination, for they throw the soul into the ocean of material enjoyment. Among the senses, the tongue is the greediest and wickedest. It is very difficult to conquer in this world. Krishna Borodoya Moy, Kori Bare Jiva Joy, Swaprasad Anidila Bhai, Se Anamrita Pao, Radha Krishna Guna Gao, Prema Dako Chaitanya Nitai. Krishna is so merciful that he has given us his own food remnants to help us conquer the tongue, O brothers. Honor these nectarian foods, sing the glories of Radha and Krishna, and with prem call out, Chaitanya Nitai. In other words, he explained, Sri Krishna Prasad is just like nectar. To discriminate between preparations is improper. We should not think, I want less korela and more sweet rice, or I do not want this item, please serve me more of that one. He then quoted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, Dvaita Badra Badra Jnana Sabha Manuma, E Bhalo E Manda E Sabha Brahma. That's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 4:176. In this world of duality, conceptions of auspicious and inauspicious are all functions of the mind. It is delusional to think this is good and this is bad. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja concluded his point by saying, it is therefore better for us to honor the items on our plate with equal reverence, considering them all to be prasad. If someone would ask him how he liked the prasad he was served, he would always answer, it was very good, they prepared it very well. But if he heard a devotee complain that a dish had not been properly prepared, he would say, go and call the cook at once. He must be punished for being inattentive in his service to Bhagavan. He should be suspended from his service for 2 or 3 days and instructed to atone for his misdeed by constantly weeping and chanting Harinam. Bring him here at once, so that I may reprimand him. His words were not merely lip service. He set a precedent by actually punishing those who were inattentive in their service. Wow, heavy. Valuing Vaishnav Seva over Bhagavad Seva. Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja would often mention, I have not come to the mat to serve Bhagavan. I have come to serve Vaishnavas. In this world, we receive many opportunities to serve Bhagavan, but the opportunity to serve Vaishnavas is exceedingly rare. It is much more spiritually beneficial to serve Vaishnavas than Bhagavan, for by doing so, one learns how to properly serve Bhagavan and gradually that person gradually develops a true lasting taste for such service. Engaging in the direct service of Bhagavan without serving Vaishnavas does not ensure one's spiritual benefit. Seeing all Vaishnavas as his masters. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja manifested an illness pastime, I brought him a portable commode made of cane, an item that was available in Navadvip and Krishna Nagar in those days. When Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja saw it, he told me, I will never use this. A Vaishnava would have to clean it every time I use it. I cannot bear to think about that. Throughout my life, I have never considered any Vaishnava to be my servant. I have always regarded everyone, newcomers and seniors alike, as worthy of my service. I don't want them to serve me. Everybody is worthy of my service. No matter what I said to him, I could not convince him to use it. Finally, I constructed a commode out of bricks with my own hands, which he happily accepted. Explaining the need for new mats and deities. Someone once asked Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja during one of his preaching tours, what is the need to build new temples and mats in India when there are already so many? And why install new deities when there are currently so many deities being neglected? Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja replied, The root cause of India's troubles is overpopulation. This is evident by the fact that the government has created various initiatives to keep the population under control. Those who have fewer children, for example, receive ample assistance from the government. If overpopulation is a national crisis, why do childless couples make efforts to have children of their own? Would they not be as content with adopting an orphan? No, they would not. The degree of affection one may possess for another person's child can never match the affection one would have for one's own. Similarly, the attachment one may have to a temple, mat, or deities established by others is far exceeded by the attachment one has to one's own. The Vaishnav's pastimes extends beyond the external. Once, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja fell ill in Sri Mayapur and needed to be taken to Kolkata for medical assistance. I accompanied him and the devotees who were engaged in his personal service on part of their journey. We first took him across the Ganga by boat to Swarupganj, that's Godrum, and then boarded a bus to Krishnanagar, where I arranged for them to take a train to Kolkata. I also explained to his sevaks how to reach Dr. N.R. Sen Gupta, a reputable doctor in Kolkata. After Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja recovered and returned to Sri Mayapur, he told me, "I was fully conscious the whole time you took me from the Ghat to Swarupganj and then to Krishnanagar, but I remained quiet, thinking that I should let the Vaishnavas do as they felt was appropriate." I was astonished as Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja went on to recount the day's events in such sharp detail. I was reminded of Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur's words in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyakanda 9.240. Jato deko Vaishnavera vyavahara duk, nishchoy hi janiho she para ananda suk. Know well that whatever suffering a Vaishnav may appear to experience is actually spiritual happiness. I was amazed. Although he appeared severely unwell outwardly, he was fully aware internally. Perhaps it is with reference to such instances that the scriptures state, Vaishnava chinite nare devera shakati. Even the demigods are incapable of understanding the divine habits and activities of Vaishnavas. Oh, it's already 8:30. If anybody needs to go now, you're free to go, but there's just a few pages left, so I'd like to finish. It's my fault for starting 10 minutes late today. I think there was like nearly 80 pages, and there's only 9 pages left. So, his astounding life teachings. We have received the following teachings from the exemplary life of Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Devotees need not be concerned with experiencing opposition, nor should they worry about adverse circumstances. Bhagavan is like an affectionate parent for his devotees. He always protects them. The bhajan cannot develop if corrupted by a propensity for sense gratification. A person attached to gratifying his senses never attains true welfare. It is only when we remain supremely satisfied with whatever prasad Bhagavan mercifully arranges for us that we will attain perfection in our sadhana. Fully attentive and dedicated service to Sri Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas is the true expression of deep-rooted love for them. Now we're reading The Disappearance of Pujyapad Gosvāmī Mahārāja, composed under the editorship of Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja. The principal pillar of Srila Prabhupada's preaching mission. Tridandi Swami Śrīmad Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja was one of the foremost pillars of Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada's preaching mission, which aims to spread the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the entire world. Thus he fulfilled his beloved Sri Gurupad Padma's most cherished desire. A model of humility and a fearless Guru Sevak. Pujyapad Goswami Maharaj was a prominent member of the Sri Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, the chairman of the weekly Gaudiya magazine's editorial board, a humble model of Guru Seva, and the greatest of speakers. Now he has attained the eternal shelter of the gentle lotus feet of his Sri Guru, who propagated throughout the world the glories of Sri Gaura's sacred abode, name, and most cherished desire. Through his divine conduct, Pujapad Maharaj demonstrated a fearless example of he demonstrated a fearless example of service to Sri Guru until the last moment of his physical presence. If we can attain the fortune of following him to even a fractional degree, then our lives will be blessed beyond all fortune. His unpretentious, genuine, and exemplary character. Pujapad Gosvāmī Mahārāja was the foremost assistant of Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti, Śrīla Prabhupada, who was Sri Gaura's potency of compassion in fulfilling the most cherished ambition of Sri Gaura. By the desire of Gaura Sundar, that great servant of Sri Guru who possessed the most unpretentious, genuine, and exemplary character, appeared in the world with great nobility. Today he has concluded his magnificent vow of service and bid farewell to the mundane realm. Kripa Kori Krishna More Dia Chilo Sangha, Swatantra Krishnera Icha Hoilo Sangha Bhanga. Mercifully, Krishna gave me his association. By Krishna's independent will, our exchange has now ended. Excerpts from articles published in Sri Chaitanya Vani, Year 4, Volume 4. Right. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol Sajan Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shisha. Oh, and Rup Manjari Didi. Alright, no problem. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Vihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Guru Deva ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki Jai. Swaparikara Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anugauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dashagunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री भक्ति सरंग Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai. Titi Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaya Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam, everybody. So, I'm going to go right now to Bhakti Sāraṅga Gosvāmī Mahārāja's Mat in Mayapur. And then right after that, there's a program happening in at a place called Bhakti Vedanta Kunj, I think. And there's going to be a program for Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, and maybe also Śrīla Gaura Govinda Goswami Maharaj. So I'm going to go for that afterwards. But anyways, tomorrow we will continue with our Srimad Bhagavatam reading. We only have, let's see, how many chapters do we have left? We have, where is it? We have we have only 5 chapters left of the 10th canto. And then we'll be finished with the 10th canto. And then maybe by that time, maybe we could read something maybe we can read from Navadip Dhammahatma or something, read something about the glories of Navadip. And then after that, after Navadip Dham Parikrama, then we can begin the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, Manjari Didi. Yeah, it's going to be sad finishing the 10th canto. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to finishing Srimad Bhagavatam because I really want to start Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'd love to read those books. So it is really nice reading Srimad Bhagavatam, but I really love, oh God, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat would be so much fun. All right, everybody, see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. Thanks for letting me go so long over time today. Haribol.